everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Shellie Geigle with J&S Hobbies and Crafts, and today's tutorial is on how I made the Stamperia Christmas Greetings notebook. And inside of this is a removable notepad that you can refill when you're done. I use these all the time. And then it also has your little pencil or pen and a pocket to put sticky notes or whatever you want to use it for. So in the tutorial, I'll be going through how I made this, and then I have some inspiration here for how to use some of the other papers in the paper pack. So I did this one, and it has a little pocket, it has the notepad, mechanical pencil, and you can see I have a lot of stickles on this, and it really helps it out, it really shimmers. And then I did this one. And this one I really like. It's really cute. And inside the same thing, and I put the tree, and I've got stickles in there. Now with some of the leftover papers, I did make some cards, so I'm not exceptional at making cards, but I was able to put together this, and I put some stickles on it. Just a Christmas card. And then I used some red solid colored cardstock from my stash, and I just placed some of the panels that were left over in a little sentiment. So there is some inspiration, trying to get my Christmas cards done. And this measures, after wrapping, about 5 5/8 by 8 1/2, the perfect size for a notepad. And I use a notepad. I have refilled my one that is years old. It's been well loved, but I still refill it all the time. I use it every day. So let's move on into the materials list. Let's review the materials list for the Stamperia Christmas Greetings notebook. I have one of the 12 by 12 paper packs, and I'll be able to get a lot out of this. One sheet of medium weight chipboard, and that's 12 by 12 size. I'm using the American Crafts 80-pound 12 by 12 cardstock, and I think I need about 3 sheets of that. Tyvek. Tyvek is a material that's hard to tear. I'm going to need some strips of this for my binding. I'm using 3/8" score tape, and I'm also using my Art Glitter Dries Clear glue, and then of course I have that metal tip. I'm going to be using stickles, and you can use Stardust or Diamond or just any color that you'd like. You're going to want about 6 inches of ribbon. I have white here, and it's about 1/8 width. You're going to want a pen or a pencil or something to place in your notebook. I have a 5 by 8 notepad here, and you can get these anywhere. I just happened to get a pack from Amazon. It's Amazon Basics, but they have these at the dollar store, and I think I even have a few of those. And if you go to the dollar store and you see that it has a neon hot pink or a color that won't match into your paper pack that you're using, don't worry about it, because on the cutting guide I give you measurements for the decorated paper that you're going to be using, and one of the pieces is to actually cover up this part, so you can use that. Completely optional if you want to use some distress ink around the edges of any of your pieces. I'm using the Tim Holtz, and this is Vintage Photo, but you can use blue, red, whatever it is that you'd like. Things that you're going to need is a ruler, a pencil and eraser, craft knife is handy, pair of scissors. You're going to want your scoring board, bone folder, and your paper cutter. So let's get started. We're first going to review off the pre-cutting and scoring guide our pieces for the base of the notebook. And also you'll notice down below I gave you the cuts for your decorated paper in case you want to use something different, and you can see what they are used for. So let's review those. First thing, we cut 2 pieces of chipboard that were 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and we labeled those cover. We had a 1 inch by 8 1/2 inch on our chipboard, and we called it a spine. We cut 2 pieces of our Tyvek that are 1 inch by 8.5 inch. We cut 2 pieces on our white cardstock. They each were 10 5/8 by 10.5, and we labeled those notebook wrap. We cut a 6 3/8 by 7 7/8 piece, and the scoring. We laid this on our scoring board at 6 3/8 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch, 5/8, 5 3/4, and 5 7/8. And then the instructions said to go ahead and rotate or turn your paper. So now you're sitting at 7 7/8 across, and we scored at 1/2 and 5/8. And we labeled that large pocket. Our last pre-cut was a 4 by 6.5, and that's our small pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 4 inches across. We scored at a 1/2, 5/8, and then we turned it. So now we're sitting at 6.5 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch, 5/8, 5 7/8, and 6 inches. Let's go ahead and assemble. So the first thing that you're going to want to get are your 2 7 5/8 by 10.5 notebook wraps. We are 10.5 inches tall. Lay a piece of score tape along one of your sides without going over all the way to the bottom. We'll use our tool to make sure we burnish and get out all that air from underneath. And if you're lazy like me and just tear off, sometimes you get overhang, and we'll definitely want to clip off any overhang throughout the tutorial to keep our stuff nice and clean looking. The next thing we want to do is remove that score tape backing. And now this one, we're going to lay right on over, match it up at the bottom and to the top. I usually like to use my paper guide on my paper cutter to keep me straight, but I'm just going to go like this. All right, let's set this off to the side. Grab your 2 5.5 by 8.5 covers, and also your 1 by 8.5 chipboard spine. We'll start with the spine. What we're going to do is we're going to lay just a couple pieces here. This will be fine. This will work. Along each side, I'm using 3/8. If you're using 1/4 inch, you'll want to do the same and then put one down the middle, but this covers enough. All right. Now on each one of these, what we want to do is lay score tape all the way around like a picture frame. And I'll show you mine. I have the score tape on each one of mine all the way around. I'm going to go one down the middle on each of them, and then one on each side. And you don't have to use a ruler and measure, just kind of eyeball that. It'll be enough. All right, let's give that all a good burnishing. I'm going to clip off any overhang I have. Don't skip the burnishing part. You can get liftage, and we don't want anything to lift on us after spending all this time. Alrighty, let's grab our notebook wrap we started. I'm going to remove the score tape backing off of my spine piece, and the idea of this is to place it directly over, center that seam in the center of your spine. Now you're going to, when you place this, you're going to want to try and get it straight, but you're going to leave 1 inch of your white cardstock here and about 1 inch up there. If you get it on a little crooked, that's okay. It'll be fine. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and remove the score tape backing off my cover pieces now. Okay, I have the score tape backing off each of my pieces, and the idea of this is we are going to place this down, leaving a 1/4 inch spacing between the spine and our covers on each side. So the first thing I look to do is take the bottom of this to try and match it up with the bottom of my spine so it will all look even and straight. So about a 1/4 inch. If you get this on a little crooked, that's okay, so long as we have enough to wrap. So I'll get this one on there, try to match it up at the bottom again, about a 1/4 inch. There we go. Let's grab those Tyvek pieces. I'm going to lay a piece of Tyvek along the sides on each side of this and on this. Now Tyvek can wrinkle up on you, it can get crazy, whatever, it's okay. This, you can iron it out with your tool, your burnishing tool, but honestly, you're really not going to see it because it gets covered. All right, I'm going to give this a good burnishing here. Okay, now I'm going to remove the score tape backing, and we're going to place this together. Okay, I got the backing off each of my pieces. You see where your spacing is? Well, this just lays right on over it. So I'm going to line it up with the bottom of my chipboard. And if you get this on crooked, it's okay. It gets covered. Here's my other one. And I'll just go right on over that. Okay, let's get our tool and give this a good burnishing. And then once I do that, I'm going to go right down so I can kind of see where my grooves are there, my spacing. Because we have to have that spacing for wrapping. Our next step is grab your score tape, and on your chipboard, we're going to go all the way around on that chipboard like a picture frame to start. All right, I have that down. Now, you may have a little more space on one side than the other. If you like to clip it down to a 1 inch on your longer side, you can. So I just clip mine down. You really don't have to, but let's grab our score tape. Now, at the corner, at the edge of your chipboard is as far as we need to go. But what we're going to do now is line a piece of score tape from this point over to this point. And then we're going to do the same thing from here to here, here to here, and from here to here. So let's do that really quick. All right, I have mine all done, and I'll bring it up so you can see. And the reason why we don't need it there in the corners, because we're going to be cutting here in just a moment. So let's take some time and give this all a good burnishing. Once you've burnished, down here at the corner of your chipboard, measure out about 1/8 of an inch, and you can make a pencil mark. All we're going to do is clip at an angle, leaving that 1 inch spacing. I need to clean my scissors. And you don't have to be perfect on those corners. So here's mine. So you can see I left that spacing. All right, the first thing we want to do is work the longer sides. You see where your seam is? Well, we're going to start there. We're going to put our fingers underneath where that seam is and gently move. Little by little, not all at once. So there's one pass. I'm on my second, just a little bit more. And if you need to go 4 passes, do so. I'm on my third here, and I think that's good enough. All right, do the same with the other long side. Work it little by little and over. Now, if you notice that you get some splintering or shards down here where that seam is, that can happen, and I'll show you how to fix that. I think I got some on there. So now we're going to move to the short side, so we're just going to do the same thing on that. And there's no seam, so I'm just going to kind of get it going. The next thing is we're going to remove all the score tape backing. I have all the score tape backing off of mine, and I'm going to start with the long side right where that seam is. I'm going to press over and then move. And I do have splintering here. It happens. All right, we'll do here. And there is a remedy for that, and I'll definitely be showing you. So we got both of the long sides down. You can go ahead and give that a little burnish if you'd like. Grab your bone folder or tool, and what we're going to do is place a hand over here and a finger down on the flap up here. Place your tool up, and like you're going around a corner, just kind of go around. And what we're doing with that is we are just doing a little tuck in so that when we wrap this over, we don't have real sharp pointy edges there. So we're going to do the bottom one, hand here, and just kind of go around the corner. as best you can. Once you've done that, you're just going to fold it over. And we'll give that a good burnishing. And you can use your tool to press down any bulk. And that should give you a nice corner. Let's do that over here. Place my tool. I'm going to go around and kind of tuck that in. Down here, same thing. Then I'm going to press over. And there's my other corners. Looks good. So don't fold on this right now. What we're going to do next is find our decorative paper. This is our inside, but we need to get that. On the pre-cutting guide down here, you'll notice the first one is the inside cover. It's 8 1/8 by 12 inches long. All right, I'm going to grab this one out. For those of you that are following along with me and want to have the same exact results, all I'm going to do is look at my paper like this, turn it sideways. I'm going to measure over this way, 8 1/8, and cut. I'll put that in my reserves. Okay, I'm going to go with this side up. If you would like to go with this side up, you can. But I'm going to be adding some stuff, I think. So I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to be placing score tape on this. But before I can do that, what I'd like you to do is grab your notebook. This is the side that I'm going to put score tape on. And if you notice when you lay it down and you center it in there, it's going to give us a nice white border. I'd like you to drag it down and keep it centered to where you have your same amount of white cardstock on each side. All we're doing right now is grabbing our pencil. We know where our little spacing is because we can see it. See where the edge of your Tyvek is? I want you to do a long pencil line where those edges are. And then you can come over maybe about 1/2 inch, 3/8 on each side of that and just kind of put another mark so you know. And I'll show you why. Is because in between here, we have to line this with score tape right next to each other so when we fold, we don't get any bulk or bubbling up on us. So let's start this with going around the outside without going over like a picture frame. And the reason why we drew longer is so when I place my score tape, I can still see my lines. All right, I have score tape around the outside like a picture frame. Now here is my long line, which would represent the Tyvek, the ending of it. I'm going to go to the left where I made that other little pencil mark and go straight down. Now I'm going to lay score tape side by side all the way over to my last line there. Alrighty, it looks like my other line's right there. I'm just going to go right on over it. Alright, now you have some space over here. I'd like you to put one in between your last one and this. And we're just going to go right down in between. Make sure everything kind of lays flat for us. Over here, the same thing. One centered between there. And then one on each side. Alright, let's give this all a good burnish. Once you've burnished, let's remove the score tape backing, or you can wait and watch me prior to removing yours. I have all the score tape backing off. Now, because this is a large piece and score tape is not forgiving, so once I place it, it's going to be stuck. One thing you could do is, here is the bottom of my piece. I'm going to put some glue right along the bottom. And that won't hurt the score tape, it'll all dry together. But why I do it is, here is my piece. I usually start with the bottom, and that way it will give me a chance to leave that spacing in between here and try to get this on as straight as I can. But if I put it down at the bottom, I still have my wiggle room. So I'm going to do the best I can here. There we go. And now I'm going to give this a good burnish. Once you do, make sure you concentrated right on in that area where we place score tape side by side. We are ready to fold this. So put a hand on the middle spine, slide one underneath, and slowly. And you'll see that you shouldn't have any bubbling up because that score tape would have grabbed. The biggest tip I can give you is place your hand so it's upright and slowly move it until it hits it. Now it won't seem like a lot because it's going to fling back, but these are new and they're going to be stiff and they do relax. So here's this. I'm doing this one now. Same thing. And yours will probably want to go like that. Now over time this will relax, I can tell you that. I made this and it's already relaxed, as you can see. That was from my other video. Another thing you can do is gently move back a little like this, and that will help, but not a lot. You'll tear out your sides. Now let's tackle any shards. I did get them pretty good here. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your fingers are clean. As you can see, they've kind of poked up, and what I want to do is just dab a little glue where that is, and I'm going to use my finger and roll it in the direction it's supposed to go, and then I'm going to go tap, tap, and leave it alone. So now you can see it is down, okay? I'm going to do that down here too, because I have some, a little bit of glue, not a whole lot. I'm going to go in the direction it's supposed to go, tap, tap, and be done. Now, if you find that it wasn't enough, you have to let that dry for a good 5-6 minutes, and then you can do the procedure again. So here it is, and it looks good. We're going to move on to getting our outside pieces now. I labeled mine front, here's the opening, and back, just to keep me going the right direction in case I flip this around so I don't get something on upside down. We're going to find our paper for the outside. In your paper pack you'll find this print if you're following along with me. And on the back it is this, and this is the print I want to get after. I'm going to need for the front and back 2 pieces that are 5.5 by 8 3/8. So if you are following along with me, look at your paper like that, measure over 8 3/8 and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. So we'll just look at it like this. It doesn't matter, really. Measure over 5.5 inches and cut. Measure over again 5.5 inches and cut. So after doing that, this is what you should have. This is going to be our front and back. So here's my front. Now you can use glue if you'd like. Apply your glue. Center it right on in there. You'll have a little bit of a white border on the sides, top and bottom, and burnish that down really good. And you're going to do the same for the back. I'm a score tape type of girl, so I am going to be using score tape. And if you were following along and using score tape, all I'm going to do is score tape around the outside like a picture frame on each one down the middle and one on each side. Since I ended up using the same colored print, I'm not going to be able to see the front from the back, but I am going to kind of open this up and kind of take a look here how I want the inside to be, because I'm going to have a pocket and then a larger pocket. I think I'm just going to have it to where the blue is down here, so this will be the back side. Here's the front. If you're following along with me, I'm going to be cutting out and around this, and I'm going to use my paper cutter. I have mine cut out, and I'm going to grab some scrap cardstock that was left over after doing some of my cuttings. So I am going to lay this down, and I'm going to leave a 1/16 inch border after I glue that down, and then I'll cut here and here, leaving that 1/16 white border. So let's do that really quick. You can cut it by hand, you can use your paper cutter, whatever it is you'd like to do. But I wanted to do mine on my paper cutter to get it as straight as possible. So I'll start up here in the corner, one of my pieces. And that looks pretty good. I am going to glue that down right to the center of my front. Just remember that your opening is off to the right. And I'll center it in there the best I can. Now let's get the piece for that spine. Now, when I was cutting for this, I had a leftover piece that looks just like this. And I'm going to check and see. Generally, it's a 1 inch by 8 3/8, and I know it's 8 3/8 because it's going to match up. And I think this may be 1 inch, and it is. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down. And I'm going to use glue for this. So this is already pre-cut for me. It's great. Just center it on in there. Get my edges. For me, I like to hold it up and do it so I can actually see the true sides of my spine. And here's a tip. If you are making several of these and there's a piece that you really want to use and it's not quite 1 inch, you can still use it. It's just going to give you more of a white border. Now, I am going to slide something in on the spine, and behind your back cover, you'll have this. I'm going to grab Joy and Peace. Now I'm just going to cut out and around that. All right, this is where I want to get my ink out. And I'm going to ink around the edges, kind of sharpen that piece up a little bit better, going against that red. And I'm going to put that red on the spine. Somewhere in the middle there. I think right about here. So, Joy and Peace. If you want to put something else on the back, you can. Now, I will be applying stickles to this to kind of make it shimmer and all that. But we're going to move on into the inside and work on putting that together first. Grab your 6-inch piece of white ribbon and grab the pen or the mechanical pencil, like I'm using, that you wish to put on the middle of the spine to hold it there. So I'm just wrapping it around this little clip. So if you want a pen, you probably want to grab something that is going to have that so that it doesn't slide through. And I'm just kind of wrapping it around there like this. And I am going to find the middle of that spine. It's about right there. So I'm going to be using my glue so I know where it's supposed to be here. And I'm just going to grab that and I'm going to be placing some glue all the way over to this side. And I'm going to place it and I'm going to press down on that glue. Now if you're using art glitter glue, it may take a minute to grab, but all I'm doing is kind of making sure that that makes contact, dab up any glue, and I am going to make sure when I look at this that my pencil is in the middle somewhere while the glue is still wet, holding it down, and that's a good spot right there. So I might need to add a little more glue underneath there, and I'm just going to press my finger and hold it, and now I'm going to slide this out so I have the size I need. Alright, while that glue is drying, we'll set that off to the side. And I think we're going to work with our large pocket. If you are new to pockets, arrange your piece so you have your 2 score lines on this long side and on this side, and the 2 down here. So they're going to crisscross. On the inside score line, we're going to cut up to the top one and over. So I'm just cutting on that score line and over. And on the inside score line here, up to the top score line and over. So it should look like this. Let's turn it over and we're going to fold on all those score lines. So there's 2 here. And I'm going to be using my tool. right, once you've done that and you fold it towards yourself, you're going to push in the sides here, the long sides, until it makes kind of a spacing, just like this. All right, so the idea what's going to happen is the bottom one's going to come up and the bottom of this long one's going to nestle right down where those score lines are. So we're going to add glue down to this flap a little bit. And we are going to first situate our first one, make sure the side of this matches to the side of this, and we're going to pinch it. And then we can get our other one and pinch and hold it for a moment. And this is going to be covering on the right side. So if you are new, this little flap is the bottom of your pocket, and I usually say this is the opening. We're going to add some glue to this on our little flaps. Okay, opening up here. Now, here is the right side, so that will be the front. We're working over here. Come down to where the bottom of your decorated paper is and to the side. The bottom of this goes to the bottom of the decorated paper. The side of this goes there. So you'll still be able to see your white cardstock, but we're just going to bring it over there, and that's still going to give us, and we're going to situate that. Try to get it on straight as we can. And that will hide your tails. So one way to get in this pocket to burnish down is if you have a butter knife or whatever, but I usually just kind of go like this, and then I'll pop it back out when I'm done. Ready to get my tablet in there. So let's find our paper for this. And on the pre-cutting guide, we need a 5 by 7 1/8 inch piece to cover that large pocket. All right, in the paper pack, you'll find this print. And I think I might want to get her on the front. Even though the pad comes over, it's still underneath. It's a nice image. And I think I'm going to use that. So if you're following along with me, you can turn your piece upside down like this and start over here and measure over 5 inches and cut. Part of the horn is no longer there, but that's all right. We're going to look at it like this. She's on our side. We'll start here, measure over 7 1/8 and cut. Now, if you'd rather use that side, that looked good. I'm just going to stick it here and using glue. All right, bring it down to the bottom of your pocket, and you can leave maybe a 1/16 of your pocket showing there, but center it side to side. That'll give you a white border on each side, and we have a white lip at the top. Now I want to do something. Grab this back out of your reserves. Oh, look at that moon. That's beautiful. Okay, all I'm going to do is I want to put a little trim up here. And you see this? Let me get my thing out. Well, I'll use this. Okay, you see where it's kind of gold and it meets the flowers? Well, I'm just going to put this on my paper cutter and cut straight down. All I'm looking to get is that gold band. Now you can measure over 5 inches and cut. Or you can just lay it down. If you got it on crooked, this will take care of any uneven. And just kind of measure to fit, like I do. I do it a lot. Easier sometimes. We'll glue that down. If you'd rather have that side, do it. Okay, let's grab our small pocket and we're going to do the same thing. Situate it to where the lines are going across, and on the sides, on the inside score line, cut up to the top one and over on each side. So inside to the top and over. All right, let's fold. Once again, we're going to situate our sides so we have some spacing in there. Put our glue down in the bottom corners, and we'll match up one and then the other. So I'll hold that there, pull it up, match it up. All right, here's the bottom of it. So the opening is this way. Let's get glue on these flaps and we'll get that down. All the way over to the left side of your decorated paper and to the bottom of your decorated paper. and place it. Okay, you can burnish this way a little bit and get in that pocket. This is the perfect trimming. I like this. And on the pre-cutting guide, we need a 3 1/4 by 5 inch piece. So I'm going to measure over 5 inches and cut. Once you've done that, I'm going to turn it this way and measure over 3 1/4 and cut. Let's apply glue, and we're going to glue that down, and we'll center it in there, and we'll leave a white lip. Oh, that looks lovely. Our last piece is a 2 by 5 inch, and that's for the top cover of our little notepad. In my reserves, I have this piece, and I am going to turn it to where the red is over here. So this, if you're following me, you can get the exact cuts. We're just going to measure over from this side 2 inches and cut. So now what we have is a 2 by 5 inch. So what's going to happen is we're going to be placing score tape around the outside like a picture frame, and then we're going to line it, completely cover it with score tape. And what we can do is place it right like that, fold it over, or you can use this side. It's up to you. So I'm going to get mine ready to go. I'm going to give this a good burnishing, remove my score tape backing. All right, when placing this, I'm going to have this, this, and this. And I'm just going to bring it down over this band so that this all matches in color-wise. And it should fit 5 inches side to side. So once I have the front, the reason why I use score tape, because all I have to do is bend it now, and it will grab, and I don't have to hold it or worry about it getting wobbly on me. So I got it there, and then I'll turn it to the back and pull over. And now we're going to give this a good burnishing. All right, I have that done. I'm going to grab my notepad to the back, and I'm going to slide it in that pocket. I'm going to grab my pen, the one I chose for this, and I'm going to slip it in. And this is a good way to find out if you need to add any more glue down underneath, which I'm going to do. I like mine to be less slacky, but yet easy to get in and out. So I'm just going to leave it right there, press down. On your very last sheet, it's the back cover, we have a bunch of cut-aparts. And since I used the angel underneath here, I think I would like to get the angel out and place her right there. So I am going to cut out and around this angel. I did not get real detailed with her. I am going to take some of my brown ink and kind of sharpen up the edges of this piece. Now I am going to be backing this to white cardstock, and then I'm going to cut out and round, leaving about a 1/16 of white showing, and I'll show you that. And I'm going to cut out around that. Okay, here's mine. And the reason why we're adding that white cardstock is to help thicken this up. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to place that right here, and this, I can put note cards and everything back behind. So I know I need to come out like this. And get some in here, and I will wipe up anything that needs to be done. I'll come down with that. All right, let's get this out. Christmas greetings. Let's cut out and around that. And we're not going to back that. All we're going to do is cut out and around, and if you want to use your ink around it, you can. I'm going to. I got a little crazy there with my ink, but I am just going to lay that right there. All right, I think that is done. So here's my little mechanical pencil in there. Now the only thing I need to do is the stickles. And I'm going to do stickles on the inside as well, but I'm going to work on the outside first. And all I'm going to do with this is outline the tree, maybe come in between the presents, maybe outline this, Christmas greetings. And I don't go thick. You definitely don't need to go thick with this. Another place is here on the spine. So I'm going to let that dry. And then all I'm going to do is kind of the same thing in here. I'm going to get her wings, maybe go a little inside, all around. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I think this notebook came out absolutely gorgeous. And I have some other samples for you that I will edit into the beginning of the video that you can kind of take a look at for some inspiration. I will be doing another paper pack, doing the notebooks for more inspiration. Happy crafting, everybody, and I hope that you like this tutorial. And don't forget, you can add more if this isn't enough for you. See you real soon on my next tutorial.